So we can see short term, all these things are survival mechanisms that help us to survive this stressful event. But long term, if we leave blood pressure elevated, we leave cholesterol elevated, we leave blood clotting elevated, these things can start to cause problems. In fact, these are all the problems that we're seeing in our society today. And it comes back down to this bottom category right down here, which is too much stress. Too much chemical stress from the environment, from toxins, from our diet, from medications. Too much mental stress from working too hard and not relaxing, and too much physical stress from not taking care of ourselves physically. So in our example, if we actually run away from the dog or fight this animal off, what that does is it stimulates through different receptors, it stimulates a certain part of our brain called the cerebellum. It turns this part of the brain on. What that part of the brain does is it regulates our body levels. And so it sees that some levels are high, and that part of the brain brings the things back down. It's the regulator part, the automatic part of the brain. So as we exercise, as we run, it turns the cerebellum on, brings all those levels back down to normal. So when we're under stress, the more stress we have, whether it's physical, chemical, or mental stress, if we start to do some of these things on this other side, it triggers the cerebellum to level things off. So exercise, positive thought, prayer, meditation, they find that these things turn on the cerebellum the same way. Chiropractic, by us adjusting your spine, turns on the cerebellum, allows that to function and regulate the body the way that it's supposed to. And a proper diet, the most important ingredient is going to be omega-3. We'll learn about that tonight and why that's important for the heart. So, another very important predictor of heart disease, this is some of the newest science that's coming out, it's on homocysteine. Anybody heard of homocysteine before? So, homocysteine is part of as your body metabolizes and breaks down animal protein or meat, one of the byproducts is homocysteine. Normally our body can naturally eliminate homocysteine and break it down. The more meat we eat, the more homocysteine we make, and the harder our body has to work to metabolize that homocysteine. Homocysteine is, if you've ever heard of an antioxidant, has anybody heard of antioxidants and vitamins? Homocysteine is the exact opposite of that. That's a free radical that's going to have the ability to go out and cause damage throughout our body. So as homocysteine would go out and damage the blood vessels and the arteries, the antioxidants would come in and offset the homocysteine. So B vitamins are probably the most important thing that we need in order to get rid of this homocysteine. So the more meat we eat, the more important B vitamins are to break down and metabolize that homocysteine. High homocysteine levels very much correlate high risk for heart disease. And in fact, they can actually do blood tests now to find out how high are our homocysteine levels. In the future, this is going to be a much bigger predictor of heart disease. They're going to look at homocysteine more so than cholesterol. So homocysteine comes in there, damages the artery. Now cholesterol sticks to the artery. We see the cholesterol there and we say cholesterol is the problem. Put the cholesterol over there. It's actually homocysteine that we need to look at. So we learned about that. Part of the problem is with meat, we need B vitamins to break that down. Deficiency in B vitamins are from the high refined carbohydrates. So as normally we'd have B vitamins in the shells of grains. So whole grains have B vitamins in it. As we process that, we lose the B vitamins. There's not a whole lot of B vitamins in a lot of the food and processed food that we have. Other things that damage B vitamin, contraceptives, hormone replacement therapy, prescription drugs. We use up those B vitamins. Another one is the C-reactive protein, just a marker of inflammation. So inflammation damages the blood vessels. The damage causes the cholesterol to stick. C-reactive protein is just a protein that we measure that tells us how much inflammation we have in our body. It doesn't tell us where the inflammation is coming from. This tells us that we have a lot of inflammation. We need to decrease inflammation. As decreased inflammation decreases the risk for heart attacks. So sugar causes inflammation. It causes stress on our body. The more sugar we have, causes our stress levels to go up, causes insulin levels to spike. High insulin levels free-floating insulin levels damage the arteries, damage the blood vessels, cause damage in our body. So as sugar levels have increased, obesity has doubled in the last 10 years, tripled in children, yet they say sugar consumption has decreased. So how can sugar consumption decrease since the 80s? The heart disease keeps going up, obesity keeps going up, and anybody have any ideas what's replacing sugar in our diets?
High fructose corn syrup.
Yep, that's one of them.
Glucose.
Glucose is in your body, and how about artificial sweeteners? Yep. So there's lots of artificial sweeteners. You buy pop, and sugar-free pop now, or sugar-free gum, or sugar-free this. Everything you can buy in the store is now sugar-free, and these sugar-free substances are loaded full of chemicals that our body was never designed to break down and use. So we put all these toxins in our body, and those toxins damage the inside of the body and cause major problems. So sugar in and of itself causes the glucose levels to go up, increases the risk for heart attack, stroke, atherosclerosis, hypertension, kidney disease, blindness, and accelerated aging. So sugar in and of itself causes major problems, but so do the alternatives for sugar, like the artificial sweeteners. High fructose corn syrup, you mentioned that one. So high fructose corn syrup invented in the mid-70s, added in food between 75 and 85, helps our food taste better, makes you want to eat more of the food. Also a filler, so if you look at ketchup, normally we need this much ketchup to fill the bottle of ketchup. If I add some high fructose corn syrup in there, it tastes a little sweeter, the kids will eat it a little bit more. Now I have to add this much tomato and this much high fructose corn syrup. So it's a major filler, adds volume to the food, and it's cheap. Plus more people will eat it. So a lot of people, the average says a half pound of high fructose corn syrup a day, which is a lot. It's about half a pound. It's in a lot of different foods. So sugar and heart disease. Excess blood sugar circulates to the blood vessels, and the sugar causes inflammation, damages the blood vessels. Cholesterol sticks to the blood vessels, narrows the blood vessel. Could it be this? Have we seen the easy button on commercial? Is it that easy to just reduce our sugar levels and reduce our heart disease? Actually, it is. If we just start to work on reducing sugar consumption, not replacing it with artificial sweeteners, but just reducing the sugar content, we'll see that our body will respond differently. High glycemic foods. Anybody know what glycemic index is? So glycemic index. You eat a food, and the glycemic index measures how fast does that transfer into sugar in the bloodstream and spike up our insulin levels. So we want to eat foods that are lower on the glycemic index. So something like a potato causes our blood sugar levels to spike up pretty rapidly and then crash very rapidly. So this up and down with the blood insulin levels causes problems. We want something that's lower, that takes longer to digest and causes less spiking in the insulin levels. So if you're going to eat something with high carbohydrates that would cause your insulin levels to spike very fast, it's high in sugar, you want to add some protein to that so it causes our blood sugar levels to go up less fast. So where do we start? Changing the diet. We want to exercise. We learned about how important that is. Reduce stress. We'll talk about some supplements and some healthy nerve function. So when should we start? Like you said, 25% of the time, the first symptom of cardiovascular disease is sudden death, so we want to start as soon as possible. We don't want to wait for symptoms. When should we start? This is pictures of kids eating not as well as they should be, playing video games, sitting on the couch. We should start soon and at a young age. So how do we change our diet? We want to start eating more vegetables. So in the book, The China Study, what they looked at is as we start to switch someone from a vegetable diet like they were eating in China and start to add in more meats and processed foods, you see that their level of heart disease raises very rapidly. If we switch them back to eating whole foods, live foods that are grown in the ground, you see that heart disease actually reverses itself. Up to 7% in some studies as we start to eat more vegetables. So if we eat only vegetables,